until I looked at myself in the mirror.
Now, you've been to a couple of city council meetings, I recall, and one of them had to do with the marijuana, medical marijuana. Mm-hmm. Now, what do you think about medical marijuana?
I'll probably get ridiculed from the church left that was there, but as I said there, if I knew when I had a lot of phantom pain with this amputation that would help me, if I was able to use it, yes, I would have supported it, but not recreational
purpose.
Marijuana.
Yeah, and
because that will lead to other problems. You'll have more accidents on the roads and stuff
and
like that.
as you see in the council, Colorado, I think, is one of them, and there's another state that's also responsible to have recreational use. And I think my mom told me back in New York, they're trying to pass the medical marijuana in that state now. We call it back in the state of New York and other states. But as I said at the council, and as I told Bob Ferguson down at City Park, I expect that the whole nation at one point will become, we call medical marijuana in the whole nation.
Well, my father-in-law and mother-in-law died of cancer. My wife died of cancer.
Yeah.
Well, my mother-in-law went through chemo.
Yeah.
And I saw how sick that made her. That the medical marijuana relieves a lot of the side effects of the chemo.
Now, you know, I was against it being put here to plant, but it doesn't matter where the plant is. People who need it will get it no matter where it's grown.
And I'd rather have it under a controlled situation than getting stuff to get off the streets because you don't know what you're going to get
and the thing is, Southern Illinois, only Illinois, Richland County has been in the paper as being the number 2 drug addict problem community within the state of Illinois and Southern Illinois in the past. And the thing is, that's one of the reasons we don't need it there. And the other thing is, Effingham is where this. In Topless, I think Effingham is where the state police's main headquarters is, and I'd rather see it up in Effingham where it's close to the state police. Otherwise, they won't be able to control that too much as they would if it was down here and stuff. And my point is, all right, there are medications we call people. Some people spoke for it. All right, I'm not talking about having a plant here, but the thing is, will medical marijuana help people where there is no other drugs to be able to help them? I believe it says in the Constitution a person's entitled to a life, we call it, and government shall not bridge upon a person's right to live between the doctor and the patient, we call it, or any citizens to survive within our nation. And the thing is, if a person has medicine, they're taking it, and it's controlling their problem, and it's working, they should not resort to medical marijuana. But there are people out in the United States of America, there is no drugs out there that will help them, and medical associations and others have found that medical marijuana does help their cause and makes them better, we call, where before there was nothing out there. Now, in situations like that, I would support, we called, to the extent because the state legislature has made it law. I did not make it law. We called, and the thing is, we should have no right. But the problem is, just like with any other drug, what's going to happen is there'll be people out there, they're going to abuse the medical marijuana. What they're going to do is sell it to people on the street, and you're going to have it called all over.
Than the street marijuana, because it'll be more pure and they'll you know, and it, like any drug, even alcohol. But I mean, we are in an addictive society. Because anything can be McDonald's can be addictive.
Yeah, well, for example, as McDonald's, all right, a person tried to file a lawsuit against McDonald's years ago to do because of obesity, overweight, and they found that McDonald's ain't shoving that food down their throat. They're buying the food, not McDonald's.
McDonald's ain't twisting their arm.
No.
If people make a conscious decision to do something that's illegal, like for instance, my brother-in-law could drink a keg of beer by himself. Okay, and why he's not died of alcohol poisoning, I don't know. But he blames his mom and dad for him being an alcoholic because they passed away. I told him, I said, they did not twist your arm when you were a teenager to start you drinking.
And that's my point. Anyone can stop doing anything. I never smoked in my life. I never, drank alcohol in my life. I never did drugs in my life, and other things. to give people an example in society. I want people to realize the only way to live life is to do it in the right way.
Yeah. Well, like, for instance, we're here in Olney.
Yeah.
And I know Olney is one of the top meth producers in the state. I'm going to be frank.
Yeah.
But when the community gets tired of it and we work together, we can get rid of that garbage.
So you agree with me? Because the problem's here. But the problem we do have is that our elected officials, our law enforcement, and the state's attorney is not doing their job to the extent where we can do that. And this meth and this drug making and dealing is keeping businesses out of our community.
Well, and also, and I'm going to be very frank with you, you got the 1% that's got the money in this town that are more concerned about lining their own pockets, keeping businesses out of this town, because I believe you can grow this town. If you get a city councilman, a mayor that will have a backbone to say, okay, you don't tell me how to govern. You voted me into as mayor. Don't tell me how to do my job.
So you agree what I've been saying for the past 29 and a half years. Anyone they want to blame, we called Belinda Hinton, who was just elected on the city council, always blames America, blames all the other communities for the problems we have in Olney. She says it's everywhere else. I tell her, and I tell everyone else, I said, any community, don't worry about everyone else, because it's like a drug addict. Because if a person does drugs, does that mean you have to be that way? No. Anyone can fix their community up, and by us doing it, we can show America that everyone can do it. And the thing is, the first thing we need to do is stop throwing trash all over the streets, committing these reckless crimes, making our community look like trash. We need to, start getting drugs in the community, fix our community up real nice, and send that message. And when we do that, businesses will want to move here, and the right businesses. We're talking about high-tech business, corporations, manufacturers that will employ, we call just about anyone. Whereas the marijuana thing would just employ people, a limited amount of people. If not, the company would board in its own people, and it would do no good. And that's why I was against it, because it did not solve the purpose. And Mayor Vaughn stated that the jobs, the people who will be working at the marijuana plant will not be the everyday people. So that's not the type of jobs we need.
Give this place a chance. First of all, what business want to come when you got streets and sidewalks are garbage?
Yeah.
But you go down the streets, there are potholes and looks crap. And then you go putting trees down Silver Street.
Yeah.
And you don't actively go after the IDOT grants that will promote the businesses like the trucking that's here. There are grants that will help pay to improve the infrastructure and promote those businesses. And when you get the infrastructure straightened out and you get someone in that position of authority in this town that will say, this is what we need to do. Forget about the parks out there. We need to get our infrastructure clean.
This is what I've been fighting for all along. I just put a new video up. The city mayor and city council has wasted money down there on by the housing authority, we called on Fair, Boom and Morgan Street. All right, what happened was I've talked to Roger Charleston on the Sunshine Village. They just put a new whole sewer system in, which is the same size that was there before, which means the amount of water that goes through there now is no bigger quantity than was there before, capacity, which means it's still going to flood. All we did is wasted taxpayers' money. Then go down to Boom. Right there, they put a little concrete in. Then when Mark Lambert was mayor, between Morgan and Boom, they did the job wrong. What they did is made it smaller. The water, we call runoff, and they ran plastic or kind of clopping up on the grass when they could have made it wider and bigger. And we within the past year or so, down there in Sycamore by Locust Street, they had a house with electrical wire hanging down. It was flooding like nothing. And so what do? They put a new steel pipe underneath, and it's the same size, so the amount of water goes through is the same thing. And they just had a major storm about not too long ago with we call it.
They're about 3 or 4 inches.
Yeah, and it was flooded all down there. And
see, there's for the people. Okay, the middle and lower class people that are in this town need to say enough is enough, and unite instead of being fighting one another.